Hello guys, Coach Jack here. I'm just going to go through a little bit of knowledge about diet and nutrition around your training. Okay, so to break it down into its simplest form, there are three main macronutrient groups. You've got your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats. Okay, now a bit of information that everyone knows is that calorie-wise, protein and carbohydrates both have 4 calories per gram, while fat has 9 calories per gram, which is why a common misinterpretation is that fat makes you fat. It's not necessarily true, it just means that things that have a lot of fat tend to have a higher calorie count, okay? So really, it's the calories that will determine weight loss or weight gain, okay? But we'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Now, both carbohydrates and fat are both forms of energy. We tend to break those down to give ourselves the power and the energy and to be able to perform our daily activities and exercise. While protein, while it can be used for energy, is predominantly used for repairing damage to our bodies. Okay? So, food sources, obviously proteins. A lot of proteins are found in various meat sources. You can also get vegetarian options in things like corn, beans, peas, etc. But generally people will get it unless they are restricted by diet needs. If you are a vegetarian or vegan, most people will get it from meats, fish, and that kind of thing. Okay. Now, the best times to take on protein is morning, so you have it through the day, and after you've just woken up. After your workout, or you've had a bout of high intensity activity, and then something potentially slower release before we go to bed, because most of your recovery is done while we sleep. Okay, carbohydrates. Now there are so many different types of carbohydrates. Okay, you have fast release carbohydrates, you have slow release carbohydrates, sugars, fruits, all starchy carbs. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, now whether you get your energy from fats or carbs generally depends on how you get along as a person. Okay, so people who are on a keto diet won't have any carbohydrates and they'll get all their energy from fats. Your body eventually gets used to that. Other people will choose to have a low fat diet. It doesn't really matter when weight loss or weight gain is the goal, but as for performance, it can. Okay, so around your workout, having something a faster release carb is going to be quite beneficial. Something that your body processes very, very easily so you don't get too bloated, but something that releases energy quickly, something potentially with a bit of sugar in it. Okay, you want that before your workout, enough time for it to digest so you can get the most from it, and then afterwards to restore your glycogen that you've just used up throughout the workout. Okay, fats, obviously a slightly higher calorific density per gram, however, does tend to be a lot slower to break down. Okay, the bonds between the atoms and stuff that make up fats tend to be a lot stronger, take a lot longer to break down. Okay, which is why they don't tend to fill you up as quickly as carbs, but once you are, you will be full for a longer period of time. This is why people tend to eat high fat and then carb at the same time, so the carbs fill them up and then the fat breaks down later on, and when that misconception about putting on weight comes in. Okay, now if you are going to predominantly eat fats as your source of energy, the quantity of food may be slightly lower than when you're eating carbs because of the higher calorific density. But just because your calories are coming from fats instead of carbs isn't going to make a difference to your weight gain or weight loss. However, it can affect how active and how readily available the energy from those calories can be. Okay, so in conclusion, protein can be had throughout the day, but you do want to target post-workout and before bed to aid in your recovery. Carbohydrates around your workout are really, really important. And fats, again, you can have throughout the day, but it's all about monitoring the quantities to make sure you're not having too much or too little of anything. Okay, and that brings me on to my next point. Okay, there is a specific diet called IIFYM, which translates to if it fits your macros. Okay, I prefer to talk about this as the bank account diet. Okay, and that basically means you look at your calorie intake and stuff the same way that you look at the money in your bank account. Okay, so you can get those calories and those macros from whatever you want. Okay, if you want to fill your carbs up with just donuts or Mars bars, have at it. If you want to fill your fats up with, just avocados, or you want to have something from animal fats and steak, that is up to you. But you only have certain amounts you can have. Okay? Now, the thing to remember with this is that certain foods and certain food groups are more calorie dense than others. So being satiated and being full is something that you need to consider. As far as weight loss and weight gain go, where those calories come from doesn't matter. However, it can make you struggle a lot more through the day if you're on more calorie dense foods. Okay? Eating really high calorie dense foods means that you're not going to have the same quantity of food in front of you, and it won't fill you up quite as much. So that is something to consider. The reason why people think eating, quote, healthier is going to help them lose weight is because the foods that we consider healthy and clean are a lower calorie density, so you can eat a lot more of it for the same calories. Okay, so for example, a kilo of lettuce and a kilo of Mars bars is the same weight of food, but the Mars bar is going to be a lot more calorie dense, so you're doing that. However, if you were to have 500 calories worth of lettuce and 500 calories worth of Mars bars, obviously you're going to have a much larger quantity of lettuce than you're going to have of the Mars bars, but the calories for weight loss and weight gain purposes only are essentially exactly the same. Okay, so when I talk anyway about a balanced diet, I'm talking about ticking all the boxes really, making sure that your calories are looked after, making sure that your macros are all fulfilled and you're getting enough so that you can still function and perform at your highest level, and that you're having food groups included that you both enjoy and food groups that are going to keep you satiated and full throughout the day so that you don't reach for the foods that are outside of your budget. Okay, you don't go over your calorie budget. Okay, having those food groups that you enjoy in your diet allows you to not have as bad cravings. Okay, any of these high restrictive diets, when you're told you're not allowed to have bread, that tends to be the first thing that you reach for. Okay, anyway, I hope you guys have found this useful. I am going to be back later to talk more on nutrition and supplements, as well as a few other things in future videos. Till then, enjoy, and I'll see you next time.